Good evening. My name is Nick Heidenberg. I'm from the St. John DeMatha Council of the Knights of Columbus. This evening we're talking about the culture of life, and I would like to greet Mary Jane Owen, who is the Executive Director of the National Catholic Office for Persons with Disabilities. Welcome.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here.
Could you please tell us about your organization?
Well, the National Catholic Office for Persons with Disabilities was set up in 1982 as a result of the bishops, our U.S. Catholic bishops, having approved a pastoral statement in 1978, which is one of the most seminal documents in terms of inclusion of people with disabilities. They said that we should include people with disabilities in our churches, in our programs, in our parishes, as well as in the total fabric of society. That document, as I said, was approved in 1978, and then in 1982, the National Catholic Office was established to promote that idealism that the bishops had put into place. And I should say, in terms of the topic of tonight, in terms of the culture of life, one of my favorite paragraphs in that pastoral says that defense of the right to life implies a defense of the right to all of those things that people with disabilities have been attempting to reach and did actually get into federal law in terms of the Americans with Disabilities Act.
I see. We're seeing a growing amount of euthanasia in the Netherlands and Holland. How is it growing in the United States?
Well, it's been growing much, much more rapidly than anyone anticipated. I think that a few years ago, people thought, the bioethicists thought that if this moved forward, it would be moving forward at a much slower rate. We've just escalated until we've got cases on both coasts where judiciary systems have established that doctors are no longer required to heal. They can kill, which is hideous and terrible. And I'm particularly concerned about Dr. Kevorkian's approach.
You have the advocates of euthanasia and assisted suicide. I'm wondering, they use the word freedom of choice. And I'm wondering if there's a connection between the freedom of choice of those who talk about choice for abortion and choice of euthanasia.
Dr. Kevorkian has made that connection. He has said that since the choice of abortion is a right, the choice of death should be a right. Now, in a way, there is a similarity, because the unborn child is not in a position to defend itself. And if the assisted suicide moves forward the way I fear it will, those of us with vulnerabilities, those of us that are frail, those of us who have conditions that make us more vulnerable, we will not have the capability of fighting for our lives. So yes, it has been broached by Kevorkian as very, very similar. And I agree, it is. It's a destruction of life. It's elimination of life.
Where do we draw the line between euthanasia and extraordinary means? And if I might give an example, I've heard certain segments of the medical community actually say that food and water is extraordinary means. And on the other hand, when do we just let a person go because that's the natural course?
Well, I think that, yes, there is a point there is a point there. I would like to give a personal example
Sure.
of what happened to me. I'm an elderly woman. You know, I lie about my age a lot, but I will acknowledge that some people, when they see my chronological age, feel that I am definitely over the hill. Recently, when I had surgery and had my right ear surgically removed and ended up in the wheelchair, the medical profession at that point did view me as not worthy to be rehabilitated. They were going to send me home to vegetate, to get Meals on Wheels. I had to fight to be rehabilitated again. Now that kind of a judgment was very destructive of my potential life. It happens all the time. Doctors are making decisions about people that are based on their preconceived ideas about what the value of a person's life is or their quality of life. There have been surveys done of quadriplegics and other people with significant disabilities that indicate that the doctors are so much more prone to undervalue a person's life, someone who has a disability. So it is a very big danger that the plug will be pulled and people with perceived as having a low quality of life will be eliminated. Now, do I believe in extraordinary methods to save life? No, I don't. I do believe that it is hideous when we deprive people of food and drink. I remember reading about the little baby doe in Bloomington, Indiana, who I hope one day to really build a little memorial to, because that baby is a hero to all of us in the disability rights movement for various reasons. But that little baby dying with, you know, a tongue swollen out of its mouth, its eyes cracked. Now, that is not a humane way to kill an animal, let alone a child. So I just think it's atrocious that we've somehow equated just those very simple sustenance, the food and water, as being extraordinary. No, they're not. But keeping someone on a ventilator when there's no activity at all in the brain, maybe it's time to let that person go. Although at the same time, there have been cases where people have revived after months and months in a coma. So it's very hard to know where that line is, but we are much too have a tendency toward cutting off life support too soon, I think.